You know what? This is a crazy idea, and I totally get that. This is not really a video that is substantiated by anything that has been said in the rumor mill. It's just an idea that I saw tossed around so much over the offseason that now, because it prevailed once more at the start of the 23-24 regular season, I was kind of like, yeah, you know what, that's a good enough video that would warrant a meaningful discussion in the background. So today, what I wanted to do was talk about the Vancouver Canucks and Conor Garland. Now, we know that Conor Garland is technically a pretty alright hockey player. And it's funny because he ended off last season with the hat trick, he started off this season with the goal. Garland's a good player. There's nobody that's going to go out there and dismiss his ability. However, as we had talked about in the past Garland video from last week, there is an incentive for him to get traded. If he is not going to stick on the top line with Elias Pettersson and Andrei Kuzmenko, then there is an opportunity for him to maybe seek a trade elsewhere to be given a bigger role and not spend the entire Canucks season on the third line after Ilya Mikheyev comes back, or something like that. Long story short, the agent of Garland, the new agent of Garland, has been given permission to seek a trade for his client, and because Conor Garland is in the trade rumor sphere once again, we've had this idea floating around regarding the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames that I've been seeing pop up on my timeline more than once. This idea I saw initially bring itself up back in the summer, when Conor Garland's name first entered trade discussions. Or not even first entered trade discussions. I feel like we've been talking about the idea of a Conor Garland trade for months now, even before the offseason began. This idea was floating around then, it was floating around in the middle of the summer, it's floating around again this period now, and I wanted to give a big shout out to Chester Ming. You might recognize him. He is the name from The Wolf of Wall Street, but also he is a Canucks Twitter personality on social media. He makes tweets, they go viral sometimes. This one popped up on my timeline more than once, and it's a trade idea between the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. Again, this is the same idea I've been seeing tossed around everywhere, but it's presented in a poll this time. Chester Ming tweets out this: "Who says no? Chris Tanev for Conor Garland, 1-for-1. I'm not sure the Calgary Flames have enough forward depth, and the term on Garland might be nice for them so that he can't escape. Calgary also has Rasmus Andersson and Mackenzie Weegar already. If no, what is the most you'd add to get it done?" The idea of the poll is who says no, and the three options are Calgary, Vancouver, and Chris Tanev. You could see that 67% of the voters here agree on the idea that the Calgary Flames themselves would say no to some sort of a Tanev for Garland deal. A bunch of replies in the comments here say other things, that yeah, I would love for the Canucks to do this. Oh, there's no way Calgary would give up Tanev. Tanev is one of the best defensive shutdown guys in the league. They wouldn't accept this. Why would they do that? Everybody knows Conor Garland is in a position where he is maybe on his way out. But the thing is, the idea in isolation is not that bad. And it isn't that bad because I've been seeing it pop up over the past few months sporadically here and there, but especially now, with the idea that Carson Soucy had been taken out, and you do have a Canucks D-core that looks honestly as solid as it's ever had before. You have guys like Ian Cole finding ways to win board battles. You're having players like Tyler Myers not needing to be relied upon as much as before. You have young guys like Noah Juleson and Akito Hirose stepping in and not being terrible. Hirose, I feel, is pretty alright. He's always had a good hockey brain. Noah Juleson, while he has had his shaky moments, has been there. So when it comes to a team like Vancouver, it's odd, but so far, throughout this short season, even with injuries to their defense core, they've still been pretty alright defensively. And the question is, with the idea in mind that they want to add a right-handed defenseman, supplemented with the idea of them trying to ship out Conor Garland, if you trade Garland for that right-handed defenseman, how exactly does that impact the team, and how much better does that make the Vancouver Canucks? Once you have everybody on the forward core back and ready to go, you've got Mikheyev, you've got Bluger suiting up back in the middle of the top six, and you have a Pettersson, Kuzmenko, Mikheyev line, for example. Once Conor Garland is in a position where he's no longer going to be used in that first line, and he gets shipped off for a right-handed D, just how much is that going to impact the Vancouver Canucks? Chris Tanev is 33 years old, still a right-handed guy, signed till the end of 2024, making $4.5 million a season. So if the Canucks find a way to trade away a guy like Conor Garland for Tanev, they are saving a little bit of dollars, and they're getting out of that term that Garland has. And of course, there is the defensive qualities that make Tanev such an amazing defenseman. He is not going to produce a whole lot of points. He is not Philip Hronek, he is not Quinn Hughes. That is okay. But if you think about it, hypothetically, if you have a D-core that includes Hughes, Myers, Hronek, Tanev, let's say Cole and Soucy, that is a legit D-core, especially based off of what we have seen so far throughout this very young season. Never mind the solid call-up options like Akito Hirose and Cole McWard. But this core, in Vancouver, should you add a guy like Tanev and assuming everybody is healthy, this could be the best core the Canucks have had on defense in years. Like, I don't know what it is, but the way this team has formulated itself with breakouts and defensive coverage, you could tell the team is working a bit harder than they had under Travis Green and under Bruce Boudreau to start off the seasons the past few years. I don't know if it's entirely fair to even say, oh, this is Rick Tocchet's system, and not just influence from the guys like Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar that are helping out with the Vancouver Canucks in their coaching. These are two great NHL legendary defenders, so, I mean, there is some value to that, right? And if a guy like Chris Tanev is able to come over, then who knows how much better he is going to be. He was already such a great beast defensively, so it would make sense if Vancouver wanted to target a guy like that. But of course, Calgary Flames fans are all going to be up in the comments in this video saying no, because we know that this is not going to go through. Every time the Garland for Tanev idea is mentioned, which has happened often, if you search on Twitter, Garland Tanev, you'll find tweets spanning back to earlier before the offseason saying, hey, the Canucks should do that. And every single time, there are Flames fans in the replies saying, no, why would we do that? And so my question here is, not to just kind of ignore your sentiments and saying, oh yeah, that's not going to get it done, but if there was a trade, Conor Garland plus extra stuff for Chris Tanev, what is that extra stuff? If you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, what is the most you'd be willing to give up in a Garland for Tanev swap to ensure that Tanev comes onto this team this year and plays out the final year of that deal in Vancouver? If you're a Calgary Flames fan, what is it that you want from Vancouver, and how do you think that's going to contrast with what the Canucks fans want? Because realistically, Tanev is a one-year guy. If he's not going to re-sign in Calgary, this is straight up just a rental. And for Conor Garland, he isn't necessarily a rental. He's got a few more years left. He's just in a precarious spot, and he's in a position now where the agent has been given the right to ask for a trade. So there are a few pros and cons that balance things out for both sides, but for Calgary, of course, you want Chris Tanev on your team. You like him, you appreciate him, you understand his value, you would probably want to re-sign this guy rather than anything, but if there is some sort of a Tyler Toffoli situation where you know he doesn't want to re-sign, then what do you do then? Right? I mean, there were a lot of rumors that Mikael Backlund wasn't going to resign. There were rumors about Hanifin and Lindholm not going to resign, but after Backlund got his contract done, after the culture shifted, we have insiders saying, yeah, Lindholm might be on the books to re-signing. Who knows if that means that Tanev and Markstrom are also going to have similar things happening to them, but for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If it's Conor Garland for Tanev, what extra stuff do you want in that Garland package to make it worth your while if you're a Calgary Flames fan? Canucks fans, you can use this comment section to reply to the Flames fans and hopefully have a civil discussion. I know we cheer for opposing hockey teams, but it would be interesting to kind of gauge the market and gauge the sentiments about how this idea works itself out. So, thoughts in the comment section below about the idea of Tanev for Garland. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.